Designing a Diana to look like the 80s. Here's your look at the McFarlane Toys Superpowers Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman has come to represent the possibility and potential of life without war, hate, or violence, and she is the beacon of hope to all who find themselves in need. She stands as an equal among the most powerful superheroes, with a sense of purpose to protect the world from injustice in all forms. Now, before we get a closer look at a princess with only 7 points of articulation, let's grab the tape measure just to see how tall Wonder Woman stands. Then I'll bring in a couple of the other superpowers figures in a moment. Wonder Woman, though, is pretty small, but that's to be said about all the other superpowers figures as well. She only is about 4.5 inches in height, or about 11 centimeters tall. Seems that my Superman is saving someone somewhere else, so I don't actually have the chance to bring in the Trinity, but at least I'll bring in the Cape Crusader. Here's what the new Wonder Woman in the Superpowers line looks like with the Cape Crusader, a figure we've looked at before. Here's what she also looks like with the Flash, and while I really shouldn't say that Wonder Woman is super new, she's fairly new at least here on this channel. Let's also free up a little bit of space in between Batman and Wonder Woman to also bring in the John Stewart, the Green Lantern we also looked at before. Once again, though, you're not getting any accessories with Wonder Woman unless you count the cape that's currently attached onto her shoulders. The cape isn't so much attached by that circular clip that we're used to seeing with both Batman and Superman. In fact, just to put Wonder Woman back down here for a second, I wanted to bring back in Batman. There we go. Batman, if you remember, does have like that little C clip. It's basically a metal ring. I think it's metal. It doesn't seem to be plastic. And then they sew the cape around that. And that then just clips around Batman. Wonder Woman, though, doesn't seem to have the same type of cape. Just gonna clip that on there. Wonder Woman's cape, however, looks like it's literally just tucked in plastic that's tucked underneath her hair. It's literally the hair that's keeping the cape in place. You could simply just take this off. Simply really isn't the best word to use to describe this. It's easy enough to take this off. It's a lot harder to tuck it underneath her hair, though. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of also having a red cape is that you can also see that it's stained some of the plastic on her shoulders. That's a bit disappointing. I, for one, am not a fan of the capes, at least when it comes to Wonder Woman. I always like to have Wonder Woman really without a cape, so I will likely take the cape off. But I did want to show you that, like, literally, it's just fit underneath her hair. So when you're taking it off, you're just going to kind of pull it underneath. Pull it underneath, and then you're just going to want to remove it. Oh, there is a clip. Oh, it's a little harder to see when it was, of course, underneath her hair. I think she looks, honestly, a lot better without the cape. She certainly, as well, looks a lot closer to the original Superpowers Wonder Woman, because the original Superpowers Wonder Woman didn't have a cape. What the original one did have, though, then unfortunately this one gets omitted, is a lasso. She does have at least a holding hand to tell you that she should really be coming included with an accessory. And yet, strangely, I mean, John Stewart came, let's just reflect for a second. John Stewart came included with a lantern. No, he didn't. Did he come? No, he didn't come included with a lantern. That's right. I pillaged that from my Hal Jordan. So really, none of these superpower figures have done well when it comes to accessories. Wonder Woman, I think at the very least, could have come included with a little wire. I'm sure I could probably find somewhere in my craft room. You have a craft room? I have a craft room. I probably could find myself like a little gold threading or something like that. I could probably use as a makeshift lasso until I find a better solution down the road. But without the lasso, it does look like she certainly does have a hand for doing something. Unfortunately, she just doesn't have any accessories to do it. Again, you got the little staining there on the shoulders. It's a bummer. I mean, I already knew that by lifting up the cape when I took this figure out of her plastic prison, that she already had a stain left behind. I mean, I probably could take myself maybe a magic eraser. I wonder if I could maybe just rub off some of the stain that's left behind. I'm sure there is a way to clean the plastic. If you guys can think of a way, let me know down below in the comments section. Head sculpt wise, it's not bad. I don't love it, but I don't think it's a terrible head sculpt of Wonder Woman either. It's modernized, like the rest of the suit that she has here. The suit itself sort of is a bridge between kind of the classic-looking Wonder Woman design and kind of like what we're getting with the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, although in this case she doesn't actually have a skirt. I suppose, if anything, the outfit is a little bit more closer to what we would have got with the original Superpowers Wonder Woman. She does have, again, that red bodice, nicely trimmed as well with the Wonder Woman W there, nicely done in gold. She's got gold also here in the belt, but for reasons unknown, she does have gold little bracelets on her bicep, but aren't the same color as the gold they've already used here. If you're going to use it here, I'm surprised they didn't use it on either side. Instead of actually having tiny little gauntlets, little bracelets that she, of course, has. She has much longer, almost arm-length gauntlets instead. I kind of would have preferred little smaller ones instead. Anyways, detailing is for what it is, isn't terrible. I mean, she does have, again, like the red boots. The boots themselves look like only that they've been molded in red plastic with a gold trim down the front and little triangular sections of gold added in there as well. The original Wonder Woman also, from what I remember, had the function where you'd be able to pinch her legs together, and I believe her arm would just swing back and forth. A very much go-to feature on all the Superpowers figures. It was usually either the arms, you'd squeeze the arms and the legs would move back and forth like Flash, or in this case, you would squeeze the legs and the arm would just move back and forth. Again, like the head sculpt isn't terrible. It is... I'd hate to say it's like, it is what it is. But again, for a more simpler looking Wonder Woman, really, when you look at all of these figures, just again, bring back in Flash so you guys can see, like Flash had a more modern looking face, but it still very much looked like something that would exist in the 80s. I guess to that extent, Wonder Woman does have a little bit of that look also as well. She seems very thick here, though. I mean, again, not to draw too much attention to the thickness of Wonder Woman, but she's a little wide here in the torso, wide also here in the thighs. But at least she's a kind of a nice hourglass figure. And again, it's a nice looking figure. Even again, she has some limited articulation. For the articulation on Wonder Woman, it's about on par with what we've looked at with all of the superpower figures so far. So like, the only part that's a little bit more limited, obviously, is going to be her head, just because there's so much hair happening here on the back of her head that really rotating your head, you're only going to be able to do that much on one side, and you do a lot less of it on the other side. Arms do move back and forth. And again, because there's no gimmick, there's nothing really impeding the articulation at all on Wonder Woman either. There's no hand articulation. There's no waist articulation. It's pretty much just head, shoulders, thighs, and the other thing that's also added in there as well as knees, which I think the original Superpowers figures also had knee articulation. The only thing, again, I would have done differently to Wonder Woman, I don't mind the face. Like I said, I didn't think I liked the face as much, but I think the longer that I spend time with Wonder Woman here, I think I'm warming up to the face. And again, it does pair well enough with the rest of the Superpowers figures we've already had a look at. Like, it's not quite classic looking faces. So if you are one that wanted to get a Wonder Woman that looked a lot more like her original Kenner release, then I don't think you're going to be as happy to get this version of Wonder Woman. I think she does have a pretty looking face though. And the paint that there is added into her, at least in the eyes, the eyebrows, and the lips, I think are handled well enough for the smaller features that she has. The only thing I really would have added on to this figure is the already mentioned Lasso of Truth. I think the Lasso of Truth was a given. Not that Batman necessarily does without, I mean, obviously he did do without of a Batarang, and Flash didn't come with any accessories, and Green Lantern really also got shafted when it came to an actual lantern. I think at the very least, a Wonder Woman should have come included with a Lasso of Truth. It could have not been, it didn't have to necessarily be molded plastic either. Just a simple bit of gold string to come include with the figure. Truth is that Wonder Woman, Deathstroke, and Nightwing, the newest wave of Superpowers figures, I had ordered online last month, and they arrived to my house last month. But with just all the other stuff I wanted to still get through here on the channel, unfortunately, these Superpower figures did have to take, unfortunately, a back seat. I'm only now getting the chance to have a look at these, with Wonder Woman being the first. We, of course, will still be looking at Nightwing. We, of course, will still be looking at Deathstroke. Those figures will be coming up in future videos. But Wonder Woman, though, I think is a nice-looking figure. She does fit well, I think, with the new aesthetics that they've designed with these new Superpowers figures. They're not quite the original retro figures, which I think was one thing that some collectors were sort of disappointed by the fact of them giving a resurgence to the Superpowers line. They were sort of hoping, I think I was even hoping, that the Superpowers figures would have looked more like the original classic selves and not redesigned molds. The longer, though, I'm spending the time to look at these figures, and as far back as I did actually order these, I'm actually liking the line a lot more. I'm still disappointed, to be fair, that they didn't have a gimmick, but I understand that gimmick would have included some additional cost of producing the figures. Ultimately, what you're really getting, though, is a figure that's kind of harking back to the way that they originally were classically articulated, with, again, these figures only having 7 points of articulation, and again, like the sculpting being a little bit more, let's say, simplistic versus what we're getting now with the DC Multiverse figures. Wonder Woman, as modern as she is, she still has enough of a classic look to her. I didn't really like the face as much when I initially took this one out of her plastic prison, but you know, to be all honest, the longer time that I've spent looking at Wonder Woman, I think the one thing too is the cape, I think, detracts away from the figure. And now that I've actually removed the cape and probably having no plans at all to put the cape back on the figure, I think actually she looks nicer without the cape. It's disappointing, though, that unfortunately the cape left behind a little bit of red staining on the shoulders. I'm sure I could probably fix that. And I will have to also fix the remedy of her with being without a Lasso of Truth. I'm pretty sure, again, if I go back to my just I got like a tote of knickknacks. I'm sure I probably could find that inside there somewhere was probably like a gold string. Take a little bit of it and just wrap it around her hand. That's enough. That's all I really need. The original Wonder Woman, I think, also just had like gold string. So it's not like I'm really degrading what the original Wonder Woman would have had. I'll just do something very similar to the one we get now here from the folks over at McFarlane Toys. What do you guys think, though, of Wonder Woman? Let me know down below in the comments section. Yes, admittingly, this one is a little delayed, getting the chance to finally having a look at these figures. Literally, I just got a pile of stuff I still got to get through. And the Wonder Woman and the Nightwing and the Deathstroke, unfortunately, were figures that I didn't get a chance to have a look at right away. But is this something that you are continuing? Are you guys still continuing to be interested in? And have you guys been collecting the Superpowers figures from McFarlane Toys? Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of the line as a whole. As already mentioned, we are going to be looking at Nightwing, and as already mentioned, we are going to be looking at Deathstroke. Those reviews will be coming soon, so make sure, if you already enjoyed this, well, if you enjoyed this video, first of all, why not hit it with a like? If you are already subscribed, you have nothing to worry about, but if you are a new-time person to come out this channel and check out this video, and you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and that you're also turning on the bell notification. Lots of video coming your way, guys, so as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.